In conversation with Kirsten Schuder. Kirsten Schuder is an international award-winning author. Her first published venture with her co-authors earned an award based on their book Farming Industrial Hemp, Not Your Daddy's Tobacco, only 3 months after publication. Their book has been influential in the establishment and legalization of America's newest agricultural crop. A science fantasy book, Inside Dweller's Genesis, was published in September 2023 and is widely available. Kirsten has published hundreds of articles and blog posts as a writer and journalist and has edited thousands more as an expert mentor and editor, including the mammoth wikiHow. Through Apex Literary Management, she manages the boutique literary agency and represents best-selling authors. Finally, she writes whatever the heck she wants and Kirsten's short attention span on Medium. And on today's episode of Photo Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today, Kirsten Schuder. How are you doing, Kirsten?
Excellent, thanks. Hope you're doing the same.
Yeah, I'm doing fine too. It's lovely to have you on the show today. I'm quite excited, really. So, Kirsten, could you tell us about your book, Genesis, which is the first book in the series of Inside Dweller series? I'd love to ask you, what inspired you to write Genesis?
Well, funny story. I had been wanting to write my first fiction book for a long while.
Mm.
When I got my degree in mental health counseling, that helped a lot because my thesis was about 100 pages long. And so
Oh.
it gave me the confidence to write something a little bit longer.
Mm.
And it was after I had graduated, and my daughter was very little then. She was a toddler, and I was, getting her bath ready. And I
Oh,
had just finished watching The Fourth Kind with Mila Davidovich.
wow.
And then all of a sudden, just kind of doing that manual labor, it just allowed my mind to just kind of, it was almost like the information was downloaded to me. It was a very odd experience. I never had that before. And I saw like these connections that I had never seen before
Oh.
in regard to like the human psyche and like some things I was reading for New Age
Mm.
and my never ending interest in the supernatural. And it just kind of coalesced. I
Wow.
started writing down the draft, and 10 years later, here it is.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That is quite amazing to know, really. I love the sound of it. It sounds quite captivating to me. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, Kirsten, with the science fiction and fantasy genres, it seems that authors have a lot of freedom to get creative and make up what they wish about the supernatural. I'd like to ask you, how did you decide on the supernatural element in your story when you are free to make up what you like?
Mhm. I do get asked that a lot. It
Wow.
was one thing my book group had asked me. So, yeah, and I found it an interesting question because the supernatural elements that I included were basically stories that I've heard over the years. I mean, I watched so many supernatural shows on television.
Mm,
People swear up and down that that was their experience.
yeah.
Um, so a lot of the supernatural elements, I got from watching those shows and also my own research. And I'm endlessly researching,
Mm,
not only because of my own interest, but because, we still get experiences
yeah,
at
that's
least
true.
once every month or two
Mm,
on our own. Like my whole family, sees a lot of things here up in the mountains. And so, I wanted to keep the supernatural elements realistic to where people could just relate to them, and it's
Wow.
like, oh yeah, my mother said that she saw something like this, or my sister, said that, she saw a mist and she couldn't explain it. It suddenly appeared and disappeared. So these are the type of things that, it's all, open to include in the sequels as well. So, I wanted to keep it so that, people here on Earth can relate to these
Mm.
experiences. And these are a lot of the experiences that I often call
Yeah.
on people like scientists. Let's study it. Don't be closed to it.
Mm.
Study it. Let's understand what's going on. Finally, let's take it seriously. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and actually, a lot of experiences that are in there, I've experienced myself. For
Wow.
instance, Dr. Gallagher says in the book that he saw a full body apparition. Well, guess what?
Mm.
I saw a full body apparition standing
Wow.
next to my husband. Yeah, like I was actually like kind of trapped because I was feeding my baby back
Mm.
then.
Wow.
And I was kind of dozing, and then when I opened my eyes, I saw a short gentleman with dark brown hair and dark brown eyes standing over my husband, and he actually stood up and looked me straight in the eyes.
Wow.
And then I said, oh, I want to know what time it is. It was in the twilights of the morning. And
Oh.
I was like, if I look away, I know when I look back, he's going to be gone, but I couldn't resist. I
Wow.
looked at the clock, I looked back, and he
Wow.
vanished,
Oh,
disappeared.
wow.
So yep, that was actually included in a fictional way in my book. And so, I wanted to keep it realistic so that it's as realistic as the paranormal and the
Mm.
supernatural can be so that people can relate to it. So,
Beautiful. That's such a beautiful concept. I love the sound of it. That's such an amazing concept, really. And I need to commend you for
thank
it.
you.
Work well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, prior to our interview, you mentioned to me how some dreams you had helped you add more oral elements to the story. Now I'm curious, would you like to tell us more about those dreams?
Yeah, those are very interesting. I actually had a dream where the glass shattered. I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, let me put that in the book. So the glass shattered behind her and made it more horrible and dramatic. So yeah, and I had another dream too, that I'm going to be putting in the second book. It's probably going to be the most horrible thing ever that anyone's ever
Wow.
read. And I had actually dreamt it. So that's going to be at the end of the second book. And
Wow.
yeah, so I just got to get a move on and finish writing it. So
That's actually amazing, really. I love the sound of that, really. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. I love it. And now I'd like to ask you, for readers who haven't read Genesis yet, and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what you'd expect in terms of themes picking up the book?
okay. So one theme is you know ha- grieving, death, and dying. How when someone you love and you're so close to passes on,
Mm.
how do that I have an interest in that. How do people put themselves back together and are able to live on? And how does this culminate when someone is so young and loses someone so special to them? And
Wow.
Miranda, actually, my main character, Miranda Shepherd, she struggles with that very much because her parents pass on when she's 11, which will be explained in more detail in the sequels. And she will, she learns to navigate that grief that she never dealt with, and learns to move on as an adult. So
Wow. Wow. That's an amazing theme and concept you've incorporated in there. And thank you for sharing. I love the sound of it.
thank you.
Yeah. Christine, there's this question that I love asking authors that come on my show. I've always been fascinated about how authors, especially novelists like yourself, craft long sentences and bring works together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. This always leave me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspiration. Now, as far as writing is concerned, I'd love to ask you too. How do you get your inspiration and ideas? Where did they come from?
Well, I actually, I think there's always some element of truth to fiction
Oh,
because, you
absolutely.
know, so much of yourself goes into the writing. And, the book has nearly everything that I love in it, which is, study of the metaphysical, spiritual,
Yeah,
emotional healing,
yeah,
and it's all together in one book. So I really I think that everybody writes like that, and that's why you're able to get so many individual wonderful stories,
yeah.
because everything that you learn in your experiences really just kind of goes into
Hmm.
fiction writing.
I like you mentioning that there's always an element of truthiness in fiction. There's always something embedded
Hmm.
in that so-called non-fiction book that is entirely fiction. There is something, there's a beat, there's a
Hmm.
snippet, there's a story that is contained in, fiction that are not thoroughly fiction. It's an
Right,
amazing
exactly.
thing to know, and it's also an amazing concept for authors to even utilize this in their writing. It makes the book read a bit much captivating, and those people who have been through such similar situation can easily relate to it. That's one of the beauty of writing. Yeah, so I
Mhm.
love you mentioning that. It's beautiful to know. And I'd like to ask you too, apart from the first series in Inside Dweller Story, do you have any other works you're currently working on? Also, how far are you taking us in this series? How many more books should we look out for in this particular series from you?
Okay, that's a good question. I plan on writing at least two more books, and then, so Inside Dweller 1 is Genesis, Inside Dweller 2 is going to be Invasion, and then Dweller 3 is going to be the Omega and the Alpha.
Wow.
And it's going to explain how Miranda kind of gets out of the situations that she finds herself in. um and I'm hoping also to kind of do like an Inside Dweller Zero, which is like ground zero, where it all begins, and explain the story about her parents,
Wow.
and how there was like much more involved in their story, and how they died, and get the chance to explore all that.
Wow.
I'm also on the nonfiction, as you read in my bio. I'm pretty strong in nonfiction as well. I'm working on compiling some research I did in terms of college cheating, and it's on the forefront more now than ever because of the invention of AI.
Hmm.
And so through my experiences in my research, and as an online educator who is on the front lines every day with students, I share my experiences, and
Wow.
hopefully it'll help colleges around the world, especially with the onslaught of AI.
Hmm.
And I'm also working on another nonfiction project, which has college writing. I've written thousands of pieces over the
Wow.
years, and I teach college writing like every day,
Oh,
pretty much.
beautiful.
And so I'm getting like a book and a course together, so you can watch out for that too.
Wow, that's amazing. Sounds like you've got quite a lot of amazing work ongoing, really. Sounds
Thank you.
beautiful. You're doing a lot of work. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's one thing that, intrigued me about writing. About how people can just sit there and craft big books, bring books together, craft sentences that make, paragraph that makes, pages, that make chapters, and eventually a big, interesting novel. That's beautiful. It's an amazing work. And I know it's not easy. It's a hard work to do. We all know
Thank
writing, it's
you.
a bit hard.
Yeah, it can be challenging. It just and the thing is too is that I think the hardest thing sometimes with writing is that you just have to realize that you need other people to help you. And
Yeah.
that's not present in math and science. I get math and science students who are angry that they have to write papers now. And
Oh,
so they I said, listen, feedback with writing is actually just part of the process, and that's
wow.
difficult for them to swallow.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people who do math and science, they're very independent minded. They love doing things on their own and
Wow.
accomplishing things on their own. So it might be a little difficult sometimes for people to open up and
Wow.
accept feedback from someone else. So I found
Yeah.
that whole thing interesting.
Now, Kirsten, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing the book and also ever since the book got published?
I have two different types of experiences. I have self-publishing, and I have a few self-published books, and putting those out was really exciting.
Mm.
But from my in the the nonfiction book,
Yeah.
Farming Industrial Hemp, Not Your Daddy's Tobacco,
Yeah.
that one actually that was the one that won an international award along with my co-authors, and
Oh.
that was really exciting, and it was very different because I was responsible for like my part coming in was putting all together all the research and making it all seem like a book. So I was in charge of putting all that together, rewriting sentences,
Wow.
and editing, putting the print book formatting
Mhm.
together. My co-authors actually took the photo of a local gentleman. He's
Beautiful.
like a quasi celebrity now. It's kind of
Oh.
funny, but yeah, he's still a friend to the family. And the so that was all very exciting. Plus, we were getting it ready for the Hemp Expo in Tennessee, and it was going to be the first one. And my co-authors wanted to appear there and promote the book, and it was so wildly successful. They had people following them around, people who saw them on Facebook and decided that they had to go to the expo just to see if they were going to be there and buy a book from them. So that was
Wow.
actually very exciting. Yeah, so I do like really working with publishers, and
Yeah.
so I'm excited for what the future holds. So
Yeah. That's amazing, really. I love the sound of that. I love your answer to this question. So thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and I'd like to ask you, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your book that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the viewers to know?
um well, the one thing that I was happy about was that the reviews I've gotten for the book so far, I didn't really share my goals for the book, which was to provide a rich reading experience,
Mm,
and something that is captivating, something that you can't really put down.
yeah.
And I found that through the reviews that we've gotten so far on the book, that I've achieved those goals. So it was really
Wow.
nice to see that. I was very happy with the reviews. They people do say that even if they don't really believe in the supernatural, if they're not like a true believer like I am, that they still they still really enjoyed the book for its exciting elements. So
Well,
that
well, I
I was really
believe
happy about.
that's amazing. Well, I believe in the supernatural. I believe in it very well. I'm a huge fan of spirituality. Yeah, and some of the books I've written to are under the theme of spirituality. So it's always fun to see a fellow spiritual lover, yeah, talk about their works. It's
Yeah,
always beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, well, do you know what I find interesting is that the supernatural doesn't translate the same in every single culture.
Mm,
And I find that absolutely fascinating. Like a lot of times
absolutely.
I'll watch things about the supernatural from like Japan. They have some like they have some spirits there that cause a lot of trouble, I think. And you have like you have like do you know what I love watching is paranormal caught on camera because they catch the
Yeah,
craziest things from all over the world. You gotta catch
absolutely.
that show. It's
Yeah,
so wild. So
it's
I
true.
love seeing like the worldview on
Mm,
how people perceive the supernatural and the
yeah,
paranormal from around the world because stuff happens like across the world that doesn't
it's,
happen here.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I'm happy you mentioned that in your book. Sounds great, really. And now,
Thank
Kirsten,
you.
in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview, I would love to get a copy of your book. On what platform is it available on for purchase?
I actually got a screenshot like a couple months ago, and it was like available in let's see, I think like Czechoslovakia or something. I found a Czechoslovakian site that it was
Wow.
available on. And so it's available across all platforms, the major ones like Amazon.com. It's available like on Book Sirens for free. Like you could download an ARC
Mm,
and just for the purpose of leaving a review.
yeah,
And we also have like a book funnel event so you could watch for that. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I'll send you like little free things
that's
because
great.
I
That's
like it when people
amazing.
sign up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And could you please leave the book to the camera again, just so we can see what it looks like?
Okay. Yeah, the book cover designer,
Beautiful
I think he's a
cover, Inside
genius.
Dwellers, Genesis, beautiful one.
Yeah, thank
And I
you.
left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of
Thank
Kirsten
you.
Schuder's books directly on Amazon and also on other platforms. So thank you so much, Kirsten, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
I really appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm excited as well.